I slid my hand under his side of the mattress, not searching for comfort, but searching for the lie. Liam was in the shower, humming some awful corporate jingle he'd picked up at work, completely oblivious that the empire he built was about to crumble in the next 3 hours. My fingers brushed against something hard and cold, tucked into the silk lining of his grandfather's antique watch box, the one he claimed was too precious to use. It wasn't a watch. It was a second phone, a cheap burner with a cracked screen. My blood turned to ice, but my hands were steady. I unlocked it instantly. His password was still the anniversary date he claimed he forgot every year. I didn't need to read the first message to know what I'd found. The sheer volume of texts, the intimate photos, the details of holidays taken while I believed he was stranded in client meetings overseas. It hit me like a physical blow. 2 years. 2 years of perfect wife performances. 2 years of sacrificing my own career to polish his professional image. 2 years of late-night meals eaten alone. He wasn't just cheating, he was building a parallel life, brick by sickening brick. Tonight was the night he was supposed to secure the promotion of a lifetime, the senior vice president role that would solidify our place in the city's elite. Tonight he was hosting a private dinner for the CEO, Mr. Henderson, a man obsessed with integrity and family values. Liam was about to step into the spotlight, expecting applause. He was going to get fireworks instead, and they would burn his whole world down. The humming stopped. The shower water turned off. I quickly locked the phone, put it back exactly where I found it, and smoothed the silk lining. I had to look composed. I had to look supportive. I had to look like the loyal wife who had just realized she was married to a serpent. The betrayal was deep, visceral, but the rage was purifying. I knew exactly where and when I would deliver the final, fatal blow. The lies tasted like ash in my mouth. For months, I had been telling myself that the late nights, the sudden, unexplained business trips, and the decreasing intimacy were just the natural stress of an ambitious man climbing the ladder. He had convinced me that his relentless focus on his career was for us, for our future, for the big house and the security we both craved. I had played my part perfectly, organizing his schedule, hosting charity events, memorizing the names of every board member's spouse. I was his indispensable prop. Reading the texts confirmed the identity of the other woman, Chloe. She wasn't just some random fling. She was a junior analyst in a rival firm he often collaborated with, which explained why she was privy to so much of his professional life. They were planning a weekend in Aspen, a trip he had canceled with me last Christmas, claiming unforeseen market volatility. The cruelty was staggering, the calculated deception breathtaking. But the discovery of Chloe's professional connection was the key I needed. Liam's biggest fear wasn't losing me. He had already checked out of the marriage long ago. His biggest fear was professional failure, public embarrassment, and the scorn of his superiors. The dinner tonight wasn't just a networking event. It was the final confirmation ritual before Mr. Henderson signed off on his promotion paperwork. I had to turn that ritual into an execution. I walked to the closet and pulled out the emerald green dress he insisted I wear tonight, the one he said made me look like $1 million. Tonight, that dress would serve as the uniform of my revenge. I spent the next hour not crying, not screaming, but meticulously backing up every photo, every message, every single incriminating file from the burner phone onto a secure cloud drive. I was gathering my ammunition. This wasn't going to be a messy fight in our kitchen. This was going to be televised humiliation on the highest stage. The sheer organizational effort he put into maintaining 2 lives was almost admirable, if it hadn't been so sickeningly directed against me. I found not only the texts, but also printed receipts hidden inside an old bank statement box, revealing monthly rent payments for a small, trendy loft downtown, listed under a fake LLC name. He hadn't just been having an affair. He had set up a fully furnished second nest, paying for it with the money we were supposedly saving for our future home. The total cost was astronomical, a direct drain on our joint finances, proving not only infidelity but financial misconduct and deceit. This detail was crucial. Professional men like Liam weren't ruined by tears and heartbreak. They were ruined by compromised integrity and financial impropriety. I realized that if I framed this correctly, it wouldn't just be a divorce case. It would be a clear demonstration to Mr. Henderson that his star employee was a deeply dishonest risk. I meticulously organized the evidence into 3 categories: personal betrayal, photos, financial misuse, rent receipts and travel bookings, and professional conflict of interest, emails discussing proprietary information with Chloe's firm while they were sleeping together. I put the neat, slim file into my matching evening bag. As I applied my lipstick, I saw my reflection. Sharp, focused, and terrifyingly calm. I looked like the perfect corporate wife, ready to conquer the evening. Liam emerged from the dressing room in his bespoke suit, radiating confidence. He pecked me quickly on the forehead. "You look stunning, Maya. Remember, tonight is everything. Be charming, be supportive, but stay focused. No drama." His casual dismissal of my existence, even while standing on the precipice of his destruction, fueled the fire. I smiled a truly chilling smile. "Don't worry, Liam," I assured him, adjusting his tie. "I promise I won't cause any drama. I'm focused entirely on you." We arrived at the exclusive private dining room downtown, nestled atop the tallest skyscraper in the city, the kind of place where billion-dollar deals are finalized over vintage Bordeaux. The atmosphere was hushed, opulent, and intimidating. Mr. Henderson, the CEO, was already seated, a massive, imposing man known for his ruthless business acumen and strangely old-fashioned values concerning trust. He greeted me warmly, praising my work on a recent foundation gala. Liam swelled with pride, basking in the reflected glow of my assumed loyalty. The table was set for 8. For couples, all high-level executives and their wives. And then I saw her, sitting 2 seats down from Mr. Henderson. Professionally dressed and looking entirely too smug was Chloe. She was introduced as a key partner from the collaborating firm, here to finalize the details of the merger that would catapult Liam into the SVP role. The arrangement wasn't accidental. Liam had maneuvered this, leveraging their affair to put Chloe in a position where they could work more closely, a professional and personal entanglement wrapped into one disgusting package. Chloe caught my eye across the linen tablecloth. Her smile faltered slightly, recognizing the dangerous stillness in my posture. She thought she was safe, protected by the formality of the setting. She thought I was oblivious. The realization that I had the power to ruin not just my husband, but this brazen woman too, settled a cold sense of satisfaction deep in my chest. Liam was vibrant, holding court, discussing market projections with practiced ease. He kept touching my arm, a possessive gesture meant purely for show. I nodded, I smiled, I played the devoted wife, all while counting down the minutes until I could detonate the bomb in my purse. The air in the room grew thick with the scent of expensive food and ambition, but all I could smell was betrayal. The wine was poured. The main course, some elaborate dish involving truffles and gold leaf, was served. Liam raised his glass, his eyes bright with triumph. He spoke eloquently about the future of the company, about the dedication required for true success, and then he turned to me. "To my wife, Maya," he declared, his voice ringing with fake sincerity. "She is the rock, the foundation. Without her unwavering support and trust, none of this would be possible. This promotion is as much hers as it is mine, a testament to our perfect partnership." The sickening irony of his words made me want to laugh, or perhaps vomit, right into the gold-leafed risotto. Mr. Henderson clapped approvingly. This was the peak of his delusion, the moment he felt completely untouchable. I realized then that I couldn't wait until the end of the evening. The deeper into this charade we got, the more complicit I would feel. The moment had to be now, while the spotlight was on him, while he felt the most secure. I looked at the perfectly arranged place setting, the glistening crystal, and the faces of the most powerful people in his industry. This setting was designed to project absolute success and unshakable stability. I was about to expose it all as a paper-thin facade. Before I take this final step, I have to ask you something, the viewers who have witnessed this kind of cold betrayal before. Is it ever right to sacrifice someone's career, their entire professional identity, just because they betrayed you personally? When is revenge too far? Should I simply walk away? Or does his level of professional dishonesty deserve a public, karmic reckoning in the very place he sought validation? I need to know what you think. Let me know in the comments below. As I set down my wine glass, I knew my answer. The time for silent suffering was over. The time for the reckoning was now. I reached into my evening bag, my fingers closing around the slim folder. Mr. Henderson cleared his throat, signaling the end of the small talk and the transition to business. "Liam, before we finalize the merger documents, do you have any final thoughts on the ethical implications of this expanded role? Integrity, as you know, is the core of our operation." This was the perfect opening. This was my cue. I stood up, slowly, deliberately, capturing the attention of everyone at the table. My movement was unexpected. Wives rarely speak during the formal business segment. Liam shot me a nervous, questioning look, but I simply smiled, wide and cold. "I believe I have some thoughts on Liam's integrity, Mr. Henderson," I said, my voice steady and surprisingly loud in the echoing room. All conversation ceased. The silence was absolute. Chloe froze, her hand hovering over her water glass, finally realizing the immense danger she was in. Liam's smile evaporated, replaced by a mask of dawning horror. "Maya, what are you doing?" he whispered, a desperate plea laced with panic. I ignored him entirely. "Liam spoke beautifully about dedication and partnership," I continued, addressing Mr. Henderson directly. "He is indeed dedicated to maintaining two entirely separate lives. And his concept of partnership is far more flexible than you might imagine." I pulled the folder from my bag and gently slid a stack of high-resolution, glossy photos across the pristine white tablecloth, directly toward Mr. Henderson. They were images of Liam and Chloe, smiling, holding hands, kissing in front of the trendy downtown loft. I made sure to include a receipt showing a corporate card being used to pay for a business lunch that coincided precisely with their weekend getaway to Aspen. The betrayal was no longer hidden in burner phones. It was right there, printed proof laid bare under the dining room lights. The tension in the room snapped like an overloaded wire. Mr. Henderson didn't immediately reach for the photos. He simply stared at Liam, his expression shifting from genial interest to profound, icy disappointment. Liam's breathing became ragged. He lurched slightly toward the table, desperate to grab the evidence before anyone else saw the full extent of the photographic timeline. "Maya, stop this!" he hissed, his face completely bloodless. "We can talk about this later." Don't you dare ruin everything. Ruin everything. I repeated the words, letting the genuine hurt and righteous fury flood my voice, but keeping the pitch low and controlled. You ruined everything, Liam. 2 years ago. Tonight, I am merely cleaning up your mess. I turned my attention back to Mr. Henderson, who had finally picked up the top photo. Mr. Henderson, I want you to know that the woman in these pictures, Chloe, who sits across the table, is not only my husband's long-term mistress, but also an analyst whose firm he has been negotiating this merger with for months. His professional judgment, his financial ethics, and his integrity have all been fatally compromised. The rent for their shared apartment, listed under a fake corporate entity, has been partially funneled through funds meant for your company's expansion projects. This is not just a personal matter, sir. This is a profound breach of trust that permeates every aspect of his character. Chloe, who had been trying to shrink into her seat, finally burst into tears and attempted to flee the table. But the path was blocked by shocked executives. Liam started to plead, not with me, but with his CEO, his voice cracking with sheer terror. Sir, please, this is a misunderstanding, a personal spat. It has nothing to do with the company. Mr. Henderson didn't even glance at Chloe attempting her panicked escape. His focus was entirely on Liam. He slowly laid the photos back onto the table, aligning them into a perfect damning row. The weight of his silence was crushing. He then picked up the receipt I had included, the one showing the misuse of company funds for their romantic trips. His face was granite. A personal spat, Liam? Mr. Henderson's voice was low, dangerous, and carried absolute authority. When an individual demonstrates this level of calculated deception and financial negligence in his personal life, what guarantee do I have that he won't apply the same lack of integrity to a 9-figure merger? Integrity is binary, son. You either have it or you don't. Liam finally shattered. The facade of control crumbled instantly. He didn't argue or fight back. He simply slumped forward, resting his head heavily on the fine mahogany table, and began to sob great, wrenching, ugly sounds. He wasn't crying over the loss of me or the shame he inflicted on our marriage. He was crying because he knew definitively that he had lost the title, the power, and the future he had ruthlessly chased. He cried in front of his boss, in front of the executives he sought to lead, completely undone by the public destruction of his carefully constructed lie. The man who prided himself on being utterly composed and financially sound was reduced to a weeping, pathetic child. The sight was intoxicating. It wasn't the image of a heartbroken husband. It was the raw, unadulterated terror of a failure. The ensuing scene was swift and brutally final. Mr. Henderson stood up, a movement that commanded immediate attention. He didn't raise his voice, but every word sliced through the silence like a scalpel. I regret to inform everyone that due to a clear and irrefutable display of professional and ethical misconduct, Mr. Hartley's candidacy for senior vice president, and indeed his employment with this firm, is terminated, effective immediately. He nodded to his legal counsel. Please ensure Mr. Hartley is escorted from the premises. He is to receive no severance, given the financial misappropriation of company resources. Liam lifted his tear-stained face, attempting a final, desperate plea, but Mr. Henderson simply turned his back. The executives, sensing the shift in power, quickly resumed hushed conversations, carefully ignoring the ruined man at the table. Chloe, realizing her own involvement meant professional ruin as well, was quietly led away by a junior assistant, her career extinguished in the same catastrophic moment as his. I felt a surge of cold, pure adrenaline, the sweet, burning taste of justice. I stood over the weeping mess that was once my husband, who was now being gently pulled to his feet by security. He tried one last time to reach out to me, muttering my name, but I took a deliberate step back. I looked him straight in the eye, devoid of all emotion, and delivered my parting shot, the absolute truth he needed to hear. You didn't just cheat on me, Liam. You traded your entire, meticulously planned future for a cheap thrill and a downtown loft. I hope it was worth it. Then I turned my back on the ruin I had wrought, gathered my evening bag, and walked away from the wreckage of my marriage. Walking out of that skyscraper and onto the bustling city street, the cool night air hitting my face felt like a cleansing baptism. I didn't look back. The marriage was over, finalized not with signatures on legal documents, but with the irreversible public revelation of his true character. Liam lost everything: his job, his reputation, his credibility, and the vast, lucrative future he had spent a decade building. His career trajectory was officially flattened, a cautionary tale whispered in the corporate towers for years to come. The justice wasn't just about the betrayal. It was about the ethical violation he so casually committed, believing he was above consequence. Watching him cry, realizing the depth of his fear was rooted only in professional loss, confirmed that I was making the right decision. I felt lighter than I had in years. The weight of his lies and the false life we shared finally lifted. I knew the coming divorce would be complicated, but I walked away from that dinner with all the leverage and all the moral high ground. I was free. I had faced the serpent and burned his nest down, ensuring that the karma he earned was immediate and overwhelming. Thanks everyone for watching. If you liked this, please subscribe to the channel Dramatic Zone. Leave a like and write in the comments which country you are from. Stay tuned. There will be a new story tomorrow.